Welcome back to Record Rift, where we tear through history's pages to uncover the stories that shaped our world. Today, we're setting sail into the age of exploration, a thrilling era from the 15th to 17th centuries when daring navigators defied the unknown, charting oceans and continents that reshaped humanity's destiny. Picture wooden ships battling stormy seas, explorers chasing dreams of gold and glory, and empires rising on the backs of newfound lands. This was a time when Europe's horizons exploded, connecting the globe in ways never imagined. But at a cost. What drove these voyages? Who were the pioneers who risked everything? And how did their discoveries change the world, for better and worse? Over the next 20 minutes, we'll navigate the triumphs, tragedies, and transformations of the age of exploration. Grab your compass, and let's embark on this epic journey. In the early 15th century, Europe was a continent hungry for change. The Middle Ages were fading, and the Renaissance was sparking curiosity, innovation, and ambition. But why did Europeans suddenly look beyond their borders? The answer lies in a mix of greed, faith, and technology. The Ottoman Empire's rise after capturing Constantinople in 1453 choked off land routes to Asia's spices, silks, and riches. European monarchs, desperate for direct access, turned to the seas. Portugal and Spain, small but ambitious, led the charge, fueled by dreams of wealth and the zeal to spread Christianity against Islam's expansion. Meanwhile, the Crusades and tales of Marco Polo's travels to China ignited imaginations about distant lands. Technology made it possible. The caravel, a sleek ship with triangular sails, could navigate treacherous waters and sail against the wind. The astrolabe and compass, refined from Islamic and Chinese designs, helped sailors chart courses. Maps grew more accurate, and the printing press spread knowledge of the world. Prince Henry, the Navigator of Portugal, set the stage, funding voyages along Africa's coast in the 1410s. His school of navigation in Sagres trained sailors, blending science with ambition. By the late 1400s, Europe was ready to gamble on the unknown, driven by a hunger for trade, glory, and God's favor. The age of exploration was defined by bold figures who sailed into the abyss. In 1488, Portugal's Bartolomé rounded the Cape of Good Hope, proving Africa could be circumnavigated to reach Asia. A decade later, Vasco da Gama sailed to India in 1498, establishing a direct sea route and returned with spices that made Portugal rich. But the most famous voyage came in 1492, when Christopher Columbus, sailing for Spain, sought Asia by heading west. Instead, he stumbled upon the Caribbean, landing in the Bahamas and claiming it for Spain. Columbus's voyages, 4 in total, opened the Americas, though he died believing he'd found Asia. His legacy is complex, a visionary navigator, but also a harbinger of colonization's horrors. Spain and Portugal dominated, dividing the world under the 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas, which split unclaimed lands along an imaginary line. Spain got the Americas minus Brazil, while Portugal claimed Africa and Asia's routes. Meanwhile, Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese sailor turned Spanish, achieved the ultimate feat. In 1519 to 1522, his crew circumnavigated the globe, proving the Earth's vastness. Magellan died in the Philippines, but his expedition changed geography forever. England and France joined later, with John Cabot exploring North America in 1497 and Jacques Cartier mapping Canada's coast in the 1530s. These explorers weren't just adventurers. They were agents of empires, planting flags and claiming lands for kings and queens, often ignoring the people already there. The age of exploration stitched the world together, but also tore it apart. The Columbian Exchange, named after Columbus, was a global swap of crops, animals, and diseases. Europe gained potatoes, maize, and tomatoes from the Americas, transforming diets and boosting populations. The Americas received horses, wheat, and cattle, reshaping indigenous economies. But the exchange had a dark side. European diseases like smallpox and measles devastated native populations, killing up to 90% of some communities in the Americas. In Mexico, the population plummeted from 20 million to 2 million in a century. Trade exploded. Spain's conquest of the Aztec and Inca empires by Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro flooded Europe with gold and silver, fueling inflation but also wealth. The Manila galleons linked Asia, America, and Europe, carrying Chinese silk and Mexican silver. The transatlantic slave trade emerged as a brutal consequence, with millions of Africans forcibly transported to the Americas to work plantations. By the 17th century, over 7 million Africans were enslaved, their suffering underpinning colonial economies. Meanwhile, Portugal's control of Asian trade routes brought spices and porcelain, while the Dutch and English established trading companies like the East India Company, laying foundations for modern capitalism. Culturally, the world shrank. Missionaries spread Christianity, often forcibly, while European ideas of science and governance took root in colonies. But indigenous knowledge, maps, crops, and navigation techniques shaped European success. The age of exploration wasn't a one-way exchange. It was a collision of worlds with profound gains and catastrophic losses. The age of exploration redrew the map and reshaped history. By the 17th century, European empires, Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, French, and English, spanned the globe, setting the stage for centuries of colonialism. The wealth from colonies funded Europe's rise, powering the Renaissance, scientific revolution, and eventually the Industrial Revolution. But this came at a staggering cost. Indigenous peoples faced displacement, disease, and cultural erasure. The slave trade scars persist in systemic inequalities today. The global economy born in this era laid the groundwork for globalization, with trade networks still echoing in our interconnected world. The age of exploration also changed how we see the world. Maps became more accurate, and the idea of a finite, knowable Earth took hold. Science advanced as explorers documented new species and lands. Yet, the era's legacy is fraught. It's celebrated for human courage, men like Magellan sailing into the unknown, but criticized for its brutality. Debates over figures like Columbus continue, with some seeing him as a hero, others a symbol of oppression. The age of exploration teaches us that progress often comes with pain, and its echoes, global trade, cultural exchange, and colonial legacies shape our world today. That's the epic story of the age of exploration, a time when humanity's horizons expanded, and the world became both closer and more divided. What do you think? Were these explorers heroes, villains, or something between? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what historical adventure you want us to sail into next on Record Rift. If this journey across the seas hooked you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep exploring the rifts that define our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.